Coach Pitino, a few remarks, please.
Well, it's a lot different when you have one day to prepare. It's a little unique, though, because we really know the Florida basketball team, as we're big fans of theirs and as a coaching staff and watching them all the time, and probably vice versa, they watch us all the time. So it's a little bit different. Normally it's a big problem with one-day prep, but we're going to know them, they're going to know us, and it should be a very exciting game.
Pat Dooley, the Gainesville Sun. Rick, is there any truth to the axiom that you taught Billy everything he knows but not everything you know?
You know, Billy's got his, I taught Billy as a player, and he was with us as an assistant coach, but he's developed his own methods of basketball. I think the one thing that left Billy as a player and as a coach is to build a fun style of play for the guys, and he's certainly done that in high fashion.
Okay, to the left.
I was seeing too, Coach, when you bring a player into your program, like Billy and some of the other numerous guys that have gone on to be coaches, how long does it take you to notice, hey, this guy has the makings of a great coach, and what are the qualities that you see early on that let you know that this guy could be a potentially great coach?
Well, I tell everybody I hire that I'm not hiring an assistant coach, I'm hiring a future head coach, and I expect them to act like a head coach. And by that I mean I expect them to have the same pressure that I'm under, that they drive themselves to limits where they feel the same pressure I would feel from a scouting standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint. And Billy is no different. Billy worked with Herb Sendek, who's a head coach in this town here, and they were good buddies, and they were part of a great staff. And it was, you know, there are some coaches you hire that you don't know, like White King Jones or Kevin Keats or Marvin Menzie at the time, or Reggie Theus, and go on and be very successful. The guys like Billy and Herb and Jim O'Brien and people, Stu Jackson, people I knew, Ralph Willard, Kevin Willard, Steve Masiello, you know them prior, personally. So you have a better gauge on certain things. Well, I wasn't sure how good a coach Billy would be because Billy was very quiet as a player. But once he became a coach, everything changed in his life. He really took that leadership responsibility on. And I just like all our coaches to feel the same pressure that I feel. And I think that drives them to be the best they can be right away, and also drives them to want to get out in a hurry because they feel those pressures. They want to get out in 3 years, 4 years to be a head coach because we drive them so hard.
To the left, front row.
Rick, Doug Haller with the Arizona Republic. We've seen this kind of mentor-protege relationship unfold in the NCAA tournament before, and not every coach likes it just because of all the emotions involved. In that sense, do you kind of dread going against Billy tomorrow, or is it just like any other challenge?
Not at all. It's the opposite for me. Because if we were playing School X tomorrow and we lost, I'd be devastated not going to a Final Four. I'll be professionally very down about not going to a Final Four, but personally I'll be very happy for Billy Donovan.
On the aisle.
David Moore, USA Today. Rick, it's been a while since you guys coached against each other, but does the fact that you've never lost to him, does that have any meaning on tomorrow's matchup?
It really doesn't, because, you know, when you play at Marshall, when you're coaching at Marshall and you have much better talent, and I'm never going to Marshall, he's coming to Kentucky, you don't expect to win most of the time. So you can never look at those things because he was at a tremendous disadvantage. If we had the same type of talent, then it'd be a different situation. But that's not the case. We just played at home and had more talent, with the exception of a couple of games where we went home and home with Florida Louisville.
To the left.
James Brandenburg from WLKY. Coach, as busy as you guys are, especially during the season, yet as fond as you are of one another, how much a part of each other's lives do you get to be? How often do you talk? What are those conversations, without getting too personal, what are those conversations normally like? You
know, Billy is a unique situation. You're close with all your assistants. You're always texting back and forth and all the time, whether it's Mick, Steve. But Billy's a little bit different because both coaches, Billy and John Pelfrey, played for me. You know, and we had a great time together. Not only did we have success, but we really, truly love each other. So it's a little bit different. You know, Billy is, no question about it, like a son to me. And we started at a very young age. And we had a great time together. And anytime you have a great time together and you have great success, it forms a wonderful relationship. And both John and Billy were truly unique. You know, it's so weird in a sense because I'm getting texts the last 48 hours about, Coach, did you speak to Billy? We're having our reunion in Miami, our 25th reunion of Providence College. And all the guys are very excited about it. And they keep saying, did you get to Billy yet? And I said, well, let's wait for this thing to end. We're all going to get together in May down there, and it'll be very exciting for all of us. So we're looking forward to that. We had a very unique experience with that basketball team because that team, since the inception of the Big East, Providence College has never been out of last place. They were tied with Seton Hall, but never out of last place. So when you go from that point to the Final Four in 2 years, you have to have a special group of guys. So we're going to look forward to that.
To the left, Coach.
Coach John Walters from the Daily. I asked this question to Coach Donovan. Does that Providence team get to the Final Four without the three-point shot, which is the first year of the three-point shot? And how much did you embrace that new rule?
Well, yes, we could have got to the Final Four. It really wasn't the fact that we embraced it. It was more the fact that our competitors did not. If my memory serves well, the first 4 Big East games that we played that year, I don't think teams made a 3 against us. I don't think they took more than 5. So that whole philosophy was changed, and I learned a lot by playing the Russians in the exhibition game. My goal was to lead the nation in three-point shooting that year, which we did do. Except I was off the number. I said we want to take 18 threes a game. When we played the Russians, they took 28. And I moved the number up from 20 to 25 because of the Russians. And they taught me how to use the 3 when we went against them. And I started studying it. And we certainly had a guard that was a facilitator like Billy who could get Delray Brooks and Pop Lewis threes all the time. So it's, I think we'd still be successful today because we had an outstanding team, but it was more, our success was derived more by our competitors not taking it.
Remaining to the left, Coach.
We don't see many players like Kyle these days who stick with the program for 4 years, don't play a lot as a freshman because people transfer so often these days. Can you talk about just his journey from where he was as a freshman, not playing a lot, to being a contributor as a senior?
Well, Kyle came in as a walk-on, and we gave him a scholarship for 3 of the years, and he's developed. He went through a tough period with Terrence Williams, T-Will, because T-Will just gets great glee out of abusing someone in practice, taking advantage of him, and Kyle had to guard him each day. So it was a great learning experience for Kyle and made him tougher. But Kyle is also very quiet, very shy, doesn't speak a whole lot, and he's done a remarkable job for us growing in the program.
To the left.
Coach, where is Florida's three-point shooting on your list of priorities heading into this game?
I think the three-point shot for us is a priority every game. It was a priority with Michigan State. It was a tremendous priority with New Mexico. It was a priority with Davidson. It's been one of the top 3 elements in all the games. It was with Cincinnati in the finals. So defending the 3, we're not always going to make it because we're not a great shooting team. So if we don't make that a priority, the disparity would be too great. But we've won this year giving up threes and not shooting it ourselves. And if you just look at Wisconsin, you know, they made 14 threes and still lost to Syracuse, which is unusual.
To the right.
Sticking with the theme, I guess, do you think that the three-point arc coming in when Billy was shining as a college player, I mean, you look at Florida now, I think they lead the nation in three-pointers made per game. Do you have to wonder whether at some point that had an impact on what he found important in basketball?
No question. I mean, Billy is playing a style of play that he enjoyed playing. You know, Billy coaches the way he wants to play. And everything he does, you know, is he does great things on offense. The only difference is, you know, he has to teach defense and get his teams to play good defense. He didn't enjoy that much as a player, but he knows that helps you win.
On the aisle?
Rick, you've talked a little bit about this team being a special group. I think you said you've never coached a group like this group. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, why you feel that way?
Well, the last 2 years, you know, it's very tough to go back 25 years and say this team reminds you of your 87 team. It does in terms of the type of people they are. Someone just mentioned about, you know, you don't see 4-year players anymore, but this is a group that we have a lot of fun together. I'll tell you a really funny story with Russ Smith the other night during the game. We've never had in 2 years any type of argument in the huddle. These guys just listen, do what they're told, very respectful. Somebody said something to Russ about a shot for the first time. And I jumped all over this guy and said, oh, let me get this straight, coach. He's now taken 251 bad shots this year, and you're going to now say something? Why didn't you say something for the other 250 ridiculous, I call Russ-diculous shots that he's taken? Russ got all upset. This is when the other player was on the floor injured. And I said, Russ, don't say another word. It was a ridiculous shot. Well, he said, I'm okay, coach. I'm okay. I said, if you're okay, go back to the bench. You're out of the game. Go back to, no, coach, I'm okay. And he started clapping, I'm okay. And I started getting very upset. Russ, you clap one more time. Tell me you're okay. I guarantee you, you won't be okay. He said okay again. I brought him back to the bench, and I really got into him. Well, to show you how much fun we have, I put him back in the game 30 seconds later. He was the same Russ, took a couple of shots, made a couple of threes, and now we win the game. And who do they get to join me at half court after we win the game? But Russ Smith, and he's hugging me, going crazy, and this is awesome, coach, it's great. And I said, don't say okay in this interview, Russ. Do not say okay, you understand that? So now I'm doing my interview, and I go back, and my son says, Dad, did you see Russ during your interview? I said, yeah, he's jumping all, he's typical Russ, he's going crazy. Well, Russ goes behind my head, and he's jumping up, and he puts the rabbit ears behind my head, and he's jumping up and down, going crazy in the thing, dancing while I'm doing the interview. And that's the way this team behaves. They have an awful lot of fun together. They laugh constantly. And that's what I mean when it's a lot like it's one of the more fun teams. Because between the lines, we take it very serious, but away from the lines, they're just joking around, having an awesome time together, and it's really refreshing to see. Last year's team was the same way, except we had a player go down in a 6-month injury, and we lost him, and Morehead State wound up beating us at the buzzer. So it didn't have the ending that this team has. You know, we lost in the Big East final last year, and now we won the Big East championship, and now we're playing for Final Four, so it's great to see.
Here in the middle.
Jeff Passan with Yahoo Sports. It seems like you're having a lot of fun now. I know the last couple of years have been difficult because of the extortion trial. How did that affect you in retrospect? And did you ever think to yourself, being in a job this public, out in the spotlight this much, maybe that's not something you'd want to go back to?
No, I brought that upon myself, so although I feel there was a lot of distortions, I learned a couple things from that experience. One is to turn the other cheek. You know, just turn the other cheek. It's not, I got great advice when it comes to problems. Don't try to explain yourself. Don't try to even tell the truth, tell your side. Just move on. I learned, too, my family was absolutely awesome. I learned my athletic director was absolutely awesome. They knew the truth. They knew what it was all about. So I think you learn to turn the other cheek. You move on. And but to me, it wasn't like 9/11 or losing a child. You know, it was something that you have to face and you move on. And so it's you all have those experiences in life, and then in extortion, but you have bad problems in your life. So I got through it, and my family helped me get through it.